Joining me now, Federalist senior editor and Fox News contributor Mollie Hemingway is back. So, Mollie, I hope you were wearing something comfortable and you had a nice big mug of tea for that doozy. I'm glad he took almost 2 hours. I really am. And I'm glad he answered a number of different questions. But were there some things that he didn't answer satisfactorily, Mollie?
Well, first off, the questions were not of good quality. With a few exceptions, which you showed, the questions from our press were just so friendly and gentle and encouraging him to just maybe try a little harder to pass Democratic policies. And then his answers were pretty rambly. It was difficult to listen to. I should have had tea. I should have had caffeinated tea to make it through all of the long, slow answers. But going into this press conference, I think a lot of Americans had grave concerns about the direction of the country, about the competence of the Biden administration. And it would have been one thing if Biden had said, listen, I hear you. Things are awful. I have to admit it. We've messed up, and here's what we're going to do differently. I'm going to reset this administration, and we're going to work on things going forward to earn back your support. He didn't do that. He said everything's going great. He said that shelves were full, as if we don't all experience when we go to the store, or at least I do and my neighbors do, what happens when you go to the store and you see that there are empty shelves routinely, and this has been going on for some time. He just struggled to really make a case for himself, and it was painful to go through.
But he did try and make a case for his administration that not only are there no stumbles, not only is there nothing to apologize for, he's had the best first year of any president ever. I'm not sure how he measures that. I don't necessarily agree with him. And then he said he has a three-part plan for getting back on track. The third one, I was really bored with his answer by then. But the first one, he actually doubled down on something the vice president said, that, he was going to get out of Washington more and see the folks. Is that the problem?
So, first of all, technically, I think he just said that nobody had done more things in their first year of presidency. And I'm not sure that's true, but I think the goal is to do positive things for the country. It is true that he did a lot to, for instance, destroy border security, or to mismanage the withdrawal from Afghanistan, or to flood the zone with, money that led to inflation problems. But you don't just want to do things. You want to do things that improve the country, or when he bungled his response on what's going on with Russia as well. But yes, I do think it's interesting that he's going to finally leave his house. He famously did not leave his house during the campaign. That was a big reason why he was able to get elected. He kind of just laid low and let many people in the media run his campaign. But now, now he thinks that maybe getting out will help him. I'm not sure there's evidence to suggest that the more people see of him, or the more interactions they have with him, that the more fond they are of him or his policies. But it will be interesting to see that tested.
Yeah, and I don't think people want technocrats running the country. That was the other thing that he promised, that he was going to talk to more experts, like Anthony Fauci, who caused problems and then refused to solve them so they can stay employed. That's a terrifying future. I hope we have more press conferences like this in the future, and I hope more members of the press actually live up to their name and they press him, because that's what we need with every administration, Republican and Democrat, a press that is asking tough questions. And this president deserves a good grilling, even after today. Mollie, thank you so much.